Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Rizwan bin Muhammad Idris, metric number 1212761. I will present about the importance as a Muslim to choose Islamic banking. Moving on to the next slide, now we will look table of content, where this presentation will divide into 6 main sections. Number 1 is introduction. Number 2 is the objective of our presentation. Next, number 3, which is what is Islamic banking. Moving on to the number 4, the advantages of Islamic banking. Next, number 5, which is Islamic banking versus conventional banking, where in this section we will discuss the differences between them. And last but not least, the conclusion. Let's begin the first chapter, which is introduction. The Islamic banking business is one of the most important industries that has helped Malaysia progress from a developing country to a developed one. Islamic banking is a contemporary segment of banking and finance that has become increasingly significant in many Muslim countries. Malaysia is one of the countries that has adopted a dual banking system. Malaysia has Islamic banking finance assets totaling US dollars 272.5 billion ringgit. In Islamic banking, Islam prohibits interest, so that Islamic banking system involve the product which do not include riba, or we call the interest, and which are according to Sharia principle. More and more customers are eager to bank in the Islamic way, and many commercial banks are also introducing Islamic banking products separate from the conventional one. And for surprisingly, many non-Muslim also are the customers of Islamic banks. Now we look to the objective of this presentation. There are two objectives. First of all, to know the importance of Islamic banking compared to conventional banks. The two objective is able to distinguish between the advantages of Islamic banking over conventional banking. First of all, we must know what is Islamic banking. Islamic banking, also referred to as Islamic finance or Sharia compliant finance, refers to financial activities that adhere to Sharia, or we call the Islamic law. Two fundamental principles of Islamic banking are the sharing of profit and loss and the prohibition of the collection and payment of interest by lenders and investors. Islamic banking in Malaysia is specifically governed by the Islamic Banking Act 1983, or we call it IBA. Islamic banking business is defined by its section 2 as banking business whose aims and operation do not involve any element which is not approved by the religion of Islam. Next, we look to the advantages of Islamic banking. There are 5 of advantages of Islamic banking. The first one is justice and fairness. The foundation of the Islamic banking model is based on a profit sharing principle, whereby the risk is shared by the bank and the customer. This system of financial intermediation contributes to a more equitable distribution of income and wealth. Number 2 is banking for all. Although based on Sharia principles, Islamic banking is not restricted to Muslims only and is available to non-Muslims as well. The third advantage is transparency. Islamic banking is about conducting business in a fair and transparent manner, guiding you through to ensure full understanding of risks and costs associated with the product and services is the utmost prerogative. The number 4 is ethical and moral dimensions. The strong ethical and moral dimension of doing business and selecting business activities to be financed play an important role in promoting socially desirable investment and better individual or corporate behavior. And the last of advantages is discouraging speculation. Speculative transactions are sources of instability and by nature is misallocation of capital. Islamic banks are prohibited from carrying out such activities, rather focusing in deployment of capital to the real economy to promote social economic justice. This is about the advantages of Islamic banking. Next, we look to the next part, which is Islamic banking versus conventional banking. In this part, we will look to the differences between them. There are four main differences. First of all, principle. The second is source of earning. The third differences is risk sharing. And the last for the differences is profit maximization. First of all is principles. Islamic banks follow the principles of Sharia given by Allah Almighty to perform operation and activities, while conventional banks follow man-made principles to perform operation and activities. The second difference is source of earnings. Islamic banks which is profit, service, charges, and consultancy fee is the main sources of earnings of Islamic banks. Profit is variable which may be negative in case of loss, while conventional banks, interest is the main sources of income for conventional banks that is charged on different types of loans or products. It assures a predetermined rate of interest. The fourth difference is risk sharing. Islamic banks risk is shared among borrower, lender and banks, while conventional bank risk is fully transferred to others. And the last four differences is profit maximization. Islamic banks it aims at maximizing to the profit but subject to the principle of Sharia, while conventional bank is aimed at maximizing the profit without any even at the cost of other stakeholders. Last but not least, the conclusion. As a Muslim, we need to choose Islamic banking product because the concept of Islamic banking practices is in line with the recommendation of Allah in the verse of the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah 272 ayah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa halallahu al-bai'a wa harrama riba, which is mentioned that Allah has permitted trade and has prohibited riba. So we need to follow this instruction by Allah SWT that state in Islam. That's all from me about this presentation. Thank you for Dr. Nisa for the opportunity for me to present my topic. Have a nice day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.